Hello. Well, there it is. Welcome to new patch notes for Warcraft 3 Reforged, version 1.32.2. Cavex has given us some new patch notes as of yesterday, February the 24th. There have been some changes and fixes. These include campaign changes, so audio levels for some dialogue have been adjusted. The animation triggers and cameras for some cutscenes have been tweaked. Fixed multiple campaign missions that had units appear invisible. Multiple inventory issues have been fixed, so yeah, there's definitely a lot of inventory issues, particularly throughout the campaign. So they've done this again, where they fixed multiple bugs throughout the Reign of Chaos and Frozen Throne campaigns. They don't specify on which bugs. Updated the cutscene cinematic panel to transition cleanly between conversations. I wonder if they managed to find a way to transition cleanly between Taronda breaking the bridge. I bet they still haven't done that yet. Fixed issues making Twilight of the Gods in the Reforged campaign easier to complete than intended. Taronda's inventory will no longer be absent on the Daughters of the Moon and the Awakening of Storm Rage missions in the classic campaign. Yeah, that was happening even back before Reforged was released. Remember, I think I was testing out the campaigns, and some of the campaign levels, your hero didn't have an inventory. They would drop all the items that he gained from like the previous one. Tyro says one of the comments, the female demon hunter now uniquely metaphoricized to her own model. That is exactly what we needed, not to ladder update, ping fix, or anything relevant. Okay, good. Yeah, no, the female demon hunter is pretty MVP. Custom games. Fixed multiple missing assets that were impacting custom games. Again, we don't know what this is, which specific custom games were causing issues due to missing assets. When you load up some maps, you'll see there's like a green box. That's because there isn't actually a proper asset in place. So the green box is to represent that there's an asset missing. At least I understand it that way. So maybe this just makes it a bit easier for maps that haven't actually been properly finished and won't be finished but are still being hosted on the game and causing desyncs and crashes. The custom games list has been updated to better optimize searching. Again, not specified in any way, shape or form. If you come over to here, go to custom games, you can sort of search for like Legion, but you could do that beforehand, which is always very useful, is pulling up only the Legion games or all the survival games so you know what you're looking for. You might want Survival Chaos or Goblin Survival or Custom Hero Survival. That's all well and good, but I'm pretty sure it did that. So what I thought when I first read that was that it referred to being able to create custom games. So if I said, "Ooh, I want to create my own Custom Hero Survival," I would type into a search bar Custom Hero Survival, and then it would start pinpocketing all the maps that have Custom Hero Survival in it and leave out all the other ones. And again, I've said this before, where my W3X files, like the actual file names, might be called something like Z1 CHS. So if you looked up custom hero, it's not going to pull that up. So if it could go a bit deeper and find out more information, such as the map description name for it, such as Custom Hero Survival here, it would still pull up a Custom Hero Survival, any map that has that. But I don't see a search bar here. So this is just for creating the game name. So I still have to go through like very specific folders to find each version that I'm after, rather than have them all in a nice list, as you saw from this previous list, where you could just search this and then it would pull up all the ones with that name. So hopefully they'll get around to implementing something like that, because I can't imagine it's too difficult, but it would be very helpful for someone like me who creates custom games quite regularly. So we could just essentially find the game and move on, rather than me having to go through everything, which is a real pain. Back to the notes. In regards to gameplay, fixed an issue where if a player quit multiple games and switched graphics settings, the user would get a match found, but the game wouldn't start. Well, you often get that anyway, regardless to this specific case of quitting multiple games and then switching. It was just happening. I've had issues today finding games or committing to those games. Like, it finds the game, but then nothing happens. The female demon hunter now, uniquely metamorphosizes to her own model. That's fantastic. Fixed an issue with Tranquil Paths. I can't help but feel like Tranquil Paths is a bit of a troublemaker in the history of patch notes. It always feels like something goes wrong with that map specifically. It's just that map where creeps were invisible. Can you imagine going into Tranquil Pass isn't a typical map in 1 versus 1. It was a Reign of Chaos map, and I used to play it all the time back in the day. I loved it, but it doesn't really get played these days. But you go into the map and like all the creeps are invisible. That's a new challenge. Updated the Fire Lord's Incinerate icon ability. That's fine. Guardian Golem now has the appropriate sound for impact in attack. Fixed an issue where the Blade Master was immune to non-magic abilities like Ensnare. So that's a very niche one, but that's pretty important for competitive gameplay. It's not something that's going to ever really happen or occur very often, but when it does, it could be very important to very high-level players. So that's definitely something that needed to be fixed. Lady Vashj has a small update to her head to address her human ears. So she actually had human ears. And I didn't realize this in the original model. Well, I didn't really think about it so much that what her ears would look like beforehand. I don't think we really saw what her ears looked like beforehand in the classic version model. I don't really have a comparison for that. But that's what her ears looked like before. So to get around this issue, they've taken her headset and essentially roped it around where her ears would be. So that's an easy fix, but it does solve that problem, I guess, for those that were really triggered by her having these humanistic ears. So here she is now, currently in the world editor. And you can see the headset comes closer towards where her eyes are, and she's got like a little bit of hair coming around, so you can't actually see ears anymore. So you got like the snake sort of coily hair to cover over the ears. Oh, I don't think that's a gaming headset, what she's wearing. Could be a modern gaming headset, I don't know. But she's happy now. And that's the main thing. And so are all the people complaining about that issue. Succubus models are now visually distinct. I think, what was this? Let's see if I can find them. I'd have to go to the dungeon tile set, I think I would most likely find them. If it's not in the dungeon tile set, where am I going to find these ladies? Outland. Ah, of course. I think, yeah, didn't they make it so that there wasn't much difference between the models? When we should have a lot of variety. Gotta move that, because that's impacting. There's always one. There we go. Hold up. So she's got like this darker red skin. Same weapon. So these two are basically the same, but just different skin color. Different costume. Same animations though. But the recolors is fine. It does do the job. There is a little bit of differentness to them. The horns are good though. Alright, anyway. I'm done with that. So, fixing it. An issue where new Reforged Death Sounds were playing in classic mode. Ah, right. So, I have been playing some classic games earlier, but I didn't actually sort of pick up on it. It's not something... You only notice it when it's a bad thing normally, so I guess maybe they have fixed that. But yeah, ideally, if you play classic, you get classic, so you don't get the interference of anything that came with Reforged impacting on it, which were like... these like alternative death sounds for all the characters, where originally I only had one death sound, so you could identify what was happening easier. 3 maps have been temporarily removed from their respective map pools due to instability. Runes of Stratham, Banewood Bog, and Fountain of Manipulation. Yeah, Banewood Bog. I didn't play the other ones so much, but Banewood Bog is like a guaranteed disconnect. Guaranteed disconnect. So, most players would just remove the map. You could only veto one map in 4 versus 4, so it pretty much had to be Banewood Bog. I actually didn't even bother. I wasn't that worried about it because there's no real ladder at the moment, so losses don't really mean for anything. They may return once the issue has been resolved. They may, though. And I don't know if they're really important maps. Can't speak for the other two. Interface. Players are now able to leave the matchmaking queue in versus mode. I mean, maybe there were issues. If it found a game too quickly, it wouldn't let you click off it, but I thought you could always leave. Like, if I search for a game now, I can just click the button and leave. And I had it earlier, even today, after the patch, where it found a game, but it didn't actually go into the game. So I was just stuck with this green eye staring at me saying match found. And when I clicked on it, it wouldn't get rid of it, so I had to Alt F4. So I don't think that's been fixed as such. Like, when they say they've like fixed these things, I don't think they're actually fixed, or they're referring to something very niche and specific that doesn't actually cover the whole problem as a whole. A Blizzard dev confirmed to Bedito on Melee map making Discord that Banewood Bog won't return. Yeah, I mean, they just shoved that one in. I don't think there was any rhyme or reason between putting Banewood Bog other than it just looked different to the other maps. I don't think they could have known that it would cause disconnects for some weird random reason. Fix an issue with team members entering a broken state when cancel queue. Okay, for our range team. When a player leaves a match, remaining players no longer receive the additional Blizzard has left the game. That was always funny. It never really impacted on anything. Just that Blizzard is always watching. Always. Transitioning from cinematics to a mission no longer briefly displays the campaign selection. Okay. Battle tags now consistently show for team invites in the user interface. So if you're going and inviting this player, for example. My bad. I don't do this very often, actually. Yeah, you do that. It would probably show off their battle tag when you invite them. I guess that's a thing. Map photos now save for versus free-for-all mode. Very small thing, but again, if it fixes something that was an issue beforehand, fair enough. Those that search for free-for-all don't have to keep re-vetoing. The ultra widescreen is now a viable option in the options menu. I don't think there's that many people that can utilize the ultra widescreen, but I know it was an issue for some, a point of contention. So video, I might not even be able to see it because I shouldn't have it necessarily available for me. So I don't know where you would find ultra wide mode. Maybe it would be in like here or something, or in your monitor. Resolution, you go to like full screen, and then you'd have ultra wide mode or something further up here. But I don't know. It's not something that would personally affect me very much. So let's come back out of that. Where were we? The grid hotkey option now works correctly for campaign and hero units. So those using the grid hotkeys. I don't use grid hotkeys. I'm not even 100% sure what those are, other than them being like QWER or something like that. ASD F. But we didn't get the hotkey changes that I was hoping for, where you could actually go through and change them specifically. So I just still stick to classic for now. Grid profiles map each slot in the command card to a specific key. These keys are applied to all unit commands. Can you choose which keys those are? Because you can't choose them from here by the looks of it. Multiple localization files for text, subtitles, and truncation have been addressed in campaign and online play, adding squelching to chat channel functionality. So you can finally squelch people if they're causing you trouble, apparently. So you can actually shut them up. Okay, maybe not. I think you might have to do exclamation mark for commands now. Okay. I don't know then. It's not something I've used actually since the patch came out, so I don't know. Adding squelching to chat channel. So maybe if you right click them, you can squelch them. Ignore might be the equivalent of it. I don't know. Fixed multiple portrait issues with units. Again, there's nothing specified here. Is it ghoul portraits? Is it anything else? We don't know. Maybe there's so many that you can't really list specifically what they are. Editor fixed an issue where melee only abilities were showing up as hidden in the editor. Again, that's not something I'm really aware of. System fixed a crash that would occur while playing campaign versus or custom games with a low texture setting. Ha! People playing with the low textures just to make everything as minimal as possible to help with FPS maybe. Fix the crash that could occur in systems with a high number of logical processors. Well, there you go. And those are the previous patch notes. We'll just briefly go over some of the comments, see what the happy people are saying in regards to the response for this. That's it. We waited 1 month for this. It's still better than nothing. It's not. If we got nothing, Warcraft 3 would still be working. First patch, 6th, second patch, 24th. 18 days difference. There are 30 days in a month. This is a 12-day difference. You waited 18 days, not a month between patch. What? That's very specific. Oh, I see. That's it. We waited 1 month for that. He's referring to that. Didn't you just copy and paste that? That was from earlier. Yeah, I can't think of what this patch really does that affects or changes anything since I was playing the game yesterday. Other than maybe some quality of life improvements that are so sort of niche that you wouldn't actually know that they were there unless you had a very specific problem occur for you. This is the sort of patch you would typically get when everything has been fixed, because it's just fixing stuff that people don't even realize is a problem. But there are still plenty of problems, and those still exist, so don't quite get it. Maybe one small baby steps for now until they can work their way through and get the game to where it should be. I said it before though, I still think the game definitely needs like a year before it's like, you can actually really head in the right direction and be comfortable with it. There's no way it should have came out when it did. No way. Maybe Custom Hero Survival is fixed now. Yeah, we played a Custom Hero Survival. You didn't get a Custom Hero Survival this Sunday because I tried multiple times to get Custom Hero Survival. Every time I played it, it crashed. Even in the specific latest version of it, that's even on Hive Workshop and it's hosted and it's the reforged version of it, that still crashed within like minutes of playing the game. People waiting for a proper system before buying. Looks like we are moving on to bigger and better things. Thanks for ruining what should have been a positive experience for new members in a larger community. I don't think you're going to get many happy comments in here because from what I can see it doesn't seem to address the main issues that most people have. So those that would be like, oh, well done on the patch, like who's going to be affected by those things that they fixed? Very few people. So when are we going to get some models that are still missing in-game? Regular male, Death Knight, Kultaran skins for Footman Knights, cause seeing Blood Elves in the Kultaran army is really embarrassing. Because you owe everything we make anyway. I would have really liked the classic models to be revamped a little bit too. Because, you know, you can say what you like about the female Death Knight and the female like Demon Hunter. Seeing them in classic, I don't really mind them so much. I really quite like them. I think it's just extra flavour, more stuff to play with. So I would have actually liked to have seen classic versions of some of this new stuff we got in Reforged as well, classic equivalents, such as the Blood Elf stuff, like Kael'thas's father and things like that. So, and the other models for the Sasquatch being different. I like the duck face well, the Death Knight's questionable. Her face was obviously a little bit rushed, let's say the least. So the Death Knight's obviously got problems, but the female Demon Hunter, you know, she looks a bit more established as her own equivalent of what a Demon Hunter would be if they were female. It's always nice to add things, expecting everyone to know if the command is squelch. Well, I tried this. Maybe it only works when you're inside of a game. And it's not clear on how to use those commands. No ladder is a concern. Again, a roadmap is a very useful tool for community and the developers to share essentially what is happening in the near future to far off future. The hard thing is, though, if you're from a developer's perspective and you honestly don't know if you can fix some of these things, if you say you can fix them, the roadmap says we're going to fix this, but then you don't, that's something that they've essentially effectively promised in a way that you don't get, so it's just always used against you. So if people weren't quite so volatile, I think, in the forums, I'm not saying that they don't have the right to be, I'm just saying if they were able to communicate in a more polite manner, developers would probably be more open to actually divulging more information. So it does help to act professionally when communicating. At least that's the way I see it. This is the biggest thing I think with this patch. These changes doesn't care the players at all. Some of them are not even noticed. There's a lot of very small issues, and the bigger issues, I haven't heard any information as to regards for what Blizzard want to do. Oh, as Adam put a question mark up. He's actually in the chat, just sitting there. Sorry, Adam. Hang on. There we go. Highlight of the patch: when a player leaves a match, remaining... Oh, he's not in the chat. Oh no, he's going to be forever upset with me. Rome wasn't built in one day. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's going to take a long time. Community manager with 8 posts total. That's a good point. That raises a bit of an issue. There is just absolutely no communication. And the communication we do get is really minimum. Save game's no longer working again. So, really, it's a bit of a non-patch, to be quite frank with you. I mean, unless you guys can enlighten me as to how this has changed your perspective on Warcraft 3. It's a patch that they probably wanted to get done, essentially to deal with little things that were bugging them, but it doesn't address the bigger issues. But that's not to say that there won't be a patch coming in the future that's going to address the bigger issues. This is just what we've got for now. Orgy says, in fairness to the players, even if they were to fix things, which they didn't, the fact remains they broke the game and chugged along well enough for 13 years, and all doing is prove to what they fix instead of improving it in any way. We do need more information. Thank you for caring. I'm closely watching every single step you do right now, and that is a little sign of actually caring about game lore, community feedback, keep it updated. Management, give them Warcraft 3, develop people every money. That started to fall a bit apart towards the end, didn't it, that sentence? Not a patch, no ladder, no performance fix, no ping fix. I've got to say, I've played 3 or 4 melee games so far today, and they all had between 60 to 80 to 90 ping. I haven't had any 200 ping games or 400 ping games. That's not to say I won't get those though. But I haven't had issues with ping today. No join bug. I have had an issue with that. Desync. Bedito disconnected in one of the games when he was on the enemy team. I thought he was just leaving because he was against me, so he's scared, but apparently he disconnected. Alright, well, there's really not too much to go over here. You said he crashed, not DC'd. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, there's not really that much to cover here. This is just a new patch, brings in some fixes and updates a couple of bits, but doesn't really do much otherwise. So, make of it what you will. Hopefully there'll be more down the line. Patience is needed, but again, this is another statement as to why this game should not have come out when it did, because this has taken a while to just get this patch, which doesn't adjust or deal with the biggest issues that are currently plaguing Warcraft 3 Reforged. So they got a long way to go before they even fix the stuff to make the game in the place where it should have been, let alone in a place where it could be where there's additional stuff that people are getting. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get the game to the actual 100% mark before you go above 100% and start adding more and more and more, you know. It's not where it even needs to be. It's not even at the starting line, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Right. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Just take care of yourself. Have a good one.